June 19, 1944. Philippine Sea. Commander Samuel Dealey stands in USS Harder's conning tower, periscope pressed to his eye, watching something unprecedented unfold. In the span of 5 days, Harder has sunk 4 Japanese destroyers, warships specifically designed to hunt and kill submarines. 4 destroyers, 5 days. No submarine in naval history has accomplished this. But the destruction is not the mission's true objective. The real target is psychological. Japanese Naval Command has just learned that their entire destroyer fleet, the backbone of convoy protection, the shield for battleships and carriers, is vulnerable to a single American submarine operating with tactics they cannot counter. Panic is spreading through encrypted radio traffic that American codebreakers are intercepting in real time. Destroyer captains are refusing orders. Convoy schedules are being canceled. Fleet movements are freezing. The Japanese are realizing that if one submarine can systematically destroy their anti-submarine warfare specialists, their entire defensive doctrine is obsolete. Dealey's mission was not just to sink ships. It was to break the enemy's confidence in their ability to protect anything. And it is working. But Harder still has targets. 2 more destroyers are approaching. Unaware they are sailing toward the submarine that has become the nightmare Japanese commanders whisper about encoded transmissions. Dealey rotates the periscope, calculating angles, preparing to add 2 more kills to a tally that will rewrite naval strategy and prove that dominance is not about size or numbers. It is about fear. By June 1944, the Pacific War had reached a critical inflection point. American forces were advancing through the Central Pacific, seizing islands, establishing air bases, tightening the noose around Japan's maritime empire. But every advance required logistics. Ships carrying supplies, fuel, ammunition, reinforcements. Those ships required protection from the submarine threat that had been strangling Japanese supply lines for 2 years. Japan's answer was destroyers. Fast, maneuverable warships equipped with sonar, depth charges, and the training to hunt submarines aggressively. By mid-1944, Japan had deployed over 100 destroyers across the Pacific, forming the defensive screen that made convoy operations possible. Destroyers were not invincible, but they were effective. Submarine commanders respected them, avoided them when possible, engaged them only when necessary. The tactical equation was clear: destroyers hunted submarines. Submarines avoided destroyers. That was doctrine. That was survival. Samuel Dealey rejected that doctrine completely. Since taking command of USS Harder in August 1943, he had developed an obsession with sinking destroyers. Not because they were easy targets. They were the hardest. But because sinking destroyers produced disproportionate strategic effects. Every destroyer lost was 1 less escort for convoys, 1 less hunter searching for submarines, 1 less barrier protecting Japanese capital ships. Dealey believed that if American submarines could establish dominance over Japanese destroyers, prove they could sink them consistently, aggressively, without suffering losses, the psychological impact would paralyze Japanese naval operations. Fear was a weapon. Dealey intended to wield it. Harder's mission in June 1944 was officially reconnaissance, patrol the waters east of the Philippines, observe Japanese fleet movements in preparation for the Battle of the Philippine Sea, report enemy positions. But Dealey had received unofficial guidance from Admiral Charles Lockwood. If opportunities arose to engage destroyers, he was authorized to prioritize those targets over merchants or transports. Lockwood understood what Dealey was attempting: psychological warfare through tactical dominance. If Harder could sink multiple destroyers in rapid succession, the message would spread through Japanese Naval Command faster than any propaganda. The Americans could hunt the hunters, and if the hunters were vulnerable, everything they protected was doomed. Harder departed Fremantle on June 5, carrying 24 torpedoes and a crew that had learned to trust Dealey's unconventional tactics. The crew was experienced, veterans of multiple patrols, comfortable with risk because Dealey's methods produced results without unnecessary casualties. Harder had never lost a man in combat. That record bred confidence. The officers understood the mission's broader objective. This patrol was not about tonnage. It was about demonstrating that American submarines owned the Pacific, that no Japanese warship was safe, that the rules had changed. The enemy just didn't know it yet. Harder's first contact came on June 6. A Japanese destroyer, Minazuki, patrolling alone near Tawi anchorage, a major staging area for Japanese fleet operations. Standard doctrine said avoid lone destroyers. They were likely bait or part of a coordinated anti-submarine patrol. Dealey saw an isolated target. He maneuvered Harder into position, closing to 1,500 yards, firing 3 torpedoes in a tight spread. 2 struck, breaking Minazuki's back, sinking her in under 4 minutes. The attack was textbook efficient, but the strategic impact was immediate. Minazuki's loss was reported to Japanese Naval Command within hours. 1 destroyer sunk by submarine attack was unfortunate but not alarming. It would become alarming very quickly. On June 7, Harder encountered destroyer Hyanami escorting a convoy. Dealey didn't attack the convoy. He attacked the escort. Hyanami was faster, more maneuverable, equipped with superior sonar. Dealey used that confidence against her. He positioned Harder directly in Hyanami's patrol path, lying in wait submerged, letting the destroyer come to him. When Hyanami closed to 800 yards, Dealey fired 4 torpedoes, hitting with 3, obliterating the destroyer in a catastrophic explosion. The convoy scattered, defenseless, easy prey for other submarines. But Dealey didn't pursue the merchants. His target was destroyers. He withdrew, repositioned, and began hunting the next one. On June 9, 2 destroyers, Tanakes and Urikes, were dispatched to the area where Minazuki and Hyanami had been lost, tasked with locating and destroying the submarine responsible. They were hunting Harder. Dealey was hunting them. He detected them via radar at 20 miles, tracked their approach, and positioned Harder in a narrow channel they had to transit. When the destroyers entered the channel, Dealey fired 6 torpedoes in a spread pattern designed to hit both targets simultaneously. 4 struck, 2 on Tanakes, 2 on Urikes. Both destroyers exploded, both sank, both took their entire crews with them. Dealey's crew erupted in muted celebration, quickly silenced by Dealey's calm order to reload tubes and prepare for follow-up attacks. 4 destroyers in 3 days. The pattern was no longer coincidence. It was dominance. Japanese Naval Command received the reports with disbelief, then alarm, then something close to terror. 4 destroyers sunk in rapid succession in the same operational area by what appeared to be a single submarine. The implications were staggering. Destroyers were supposed to be submarine hunters. If they were being hunted themselves, systematically and successfully, the entire defensive framework was compromised. Emergency orders were issued. All destroyers in the region were to operate in pairs, maintain active sonar sweeps, avoid predictable patrol patterns, prioritize survival over engagement. Convoy operations were suspended pending reassessment of escort strength. The Japanese were reacting, adapting, but they were also panicking, and Dealey wasn't finished. On June 10, destroyers Asashimo and Yamagomo were ordered to search for Harder, operating together as per new doctrine, maintaining constant communication, executing aggressive sonar sweeps. They believed coordination would neutralize the threat. Dealey anticipated this adaptation. He had studied Japanese anti-submarine tactics, understood how they coordinated attacks, and identified a vulnerability: destroyers operating in pairs, focused on external threats, not threats between them. If a submarine positioned itself in the space between 2 destroyers, they would hesitate to drop depth charges for fear of hitting each other. Dealey exploited this. He maneuvered Harder between Asashimo and Yamagumo, closing to point-blank range, and fired 4 torpedoes, 2 at each target. All 4 hit. Both destroyers exploded simultaneously, sinking within minutes of each other. The Japanese captains never understood what had killed them. They were looking outward when the threat was inside their formation. 5 destroyers in 5 days. The tally was unprecedented, shocking, tactically impossible according to every manual written about submarine warfare. Dealey transmitted an encrypted report to Admiral Lockwood. Destroyed 5 enemy destroyers. Torpedoes expended 22. Crew unharmed. Continuing patrol. Lockwood read the message, reread it, then summoned his staff to verify the report's authenticity. When confirmed, he authorized Harder to withdraw and return to base. Not because the mission was complete. Because Dealey had accomplished something more valuable than sinking ships. He had created a legend that was spreading through Japanese communications faster than any intelligence report. The Americans could hunt destroyers. The destroyers were vulnerable. The Pacific Ocean was no longer safe for anyone flying the rising sun. The panic within Japanese Naval Command was documented through intercepted communications that American codebreakers translated in real time. Destroyer captains were filing reports expressing concern about operating in areas where Harder had been active. Some requested reassignment. Others refused orders outright, citing inadequate support. Fleet commanders were forced to double escort strength for convoys, tying up destroyers that were needed elsewhere. Battleship and carrier movements were delayed because destroyer screens couldn't be assembled. The logistical cascade was immediate and crippling. One submarine had disrupted an entire theater's operations by demonstrating that the protectors were vulnerable. The psychological impact extended beyond operations. Japanese destroyer crews, previously confident in their training and equipment, began second-guessing every sonar contact, every tactical decision. Morale collapsed. Some crews became paralyzed by caution, dropping depth charges at phantom contacts, wasting ordnance. Others became reckless, pursuing contacts aggressively, abandoning doctrine, making themselves vulnerable to the very tactics Dealey had pioneered. The fear was not just of Harder specifically. It was of the possibility that other American submarines would adopt Dealey's methods, that every patrol zone would become a graveyard for destroyers. That fear became self-fulfilling. Other submarine commanders, studying Harder's patrol reports, began targeting destroyers offensively rather than avoiding them. Japanese destroyer losses accelerated across the Pacific. The doctrine shift was total. Harder returned to Fremantle on June 25, her crew exhausted but victorious. Dealey was awarded the Medal of Honor. His tactics were immediately incorporated into fleet-wide submarine training. The patrol report was classified and distributed to every submarine commander in the Pacific with a single directive. Prioritize destroyer targets when operationally feasible. Psychological impact is strategic. Dealey's mission had proven that naval warfare was not just about sinking tonnage. It was about breaking the enemy's will to operate. Japanese destroyers, once aggressive and effective, became cautious and defensive. Convoy operations slowed. Fleet movements became constrained. The entire defensive posture shifted from proactive to reactive. And that shift created vulnerabilities that American submarines exploited ruthlessly for the remainder of the war. USS Harder was lost on her 6th war patrol in August 1944, depth-charged and sunk by Japanese escorts off Bataan. Samuel Dealey and his entire crew perished. The loss was devastating, but the legacy endured. Harder had demonstrated that tactical innovation, combined with psychological warfare, could produce strategic effects disproportionate to the resources employed. 5 destroyers sunk in 5 days was a tactical achievement. The panic that followed was a strategic victory. Japanese Naval Command never recovered the confidence Dealey shattered. They operated for the rest of the war under the shadow of the mission that proved their protectors were vulnerable. Their doctrine was obsolete, and their ocean was no longer theirs to control.